Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
So, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Eventful Endeavors. Happy Friday. Today, I am really excited to have Diane and Glenn Lassiter, the owners of All for One Farms in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. Diane and Glenn, thank you so much for being here today.
You're very welcome. We're excited about it.
Yes. And I was just actually reading like a little bit about yourself, like before we actually got on this call. And I think this is like probably the most beautiful story I've heard so far, because what happened is, I believe you mentioned that you actually grew up at the venue, which is the farm. You grew up there and you have some memories of your father. And I'm going to quote you when you were 10. This is the most beautiful place on earth. So you have a lot of memories of your father working around the land. And then later on, you actually made it as a wedding venue. So tell me all about this. What happened? What are your memories? What's going on?
Well, I can remember the day we first came here when we bought the farm and how much I just fell in love with it. And just the memories I have with me and my dad. And then even in the intervening years, I met Glenn, we dated. When we married, we bought the farm, and then we've raised 6 kids here. So I've got a lot of memories here on the farm, and I still love it as much today as I did then. And so I just love sharing it with other people. And I can't believe we've actually wound up in the wedding venue business, but I really love it.
This is beautiful. And I know, just like you mentioned, later on, you met Glenn, which is also very much involved. And Glenn, I know that you are the guy for all the tours and venues. Is that right?
Yes, I pretty well do all the tours. Over time, we've kind of figured out that for whatever reason, I seem to book more weddings off of tours than anybody else does. So I guess I'm
But the whole family is trained on how to do a tour. So.
Right. If something happens and we're out of town and somebody wants to come, then we have sons and daughters who can take care of the tours also. So.
That's great. It actually takes me to the next question. So I know you guys have 6 children, and the kids are very much involved in the family business as well. Is that right?
Yes.
That's
They
amazing.
are. I say they don't have a choice, but they do. But they live on the property. We have 110 acres, so they're on the other end of the property. So it's just kind of natural that they're the kind of our additional staff and backup people and whatever.
It is so much convenient. It just looks so convenient. Everybody's around and like, hey, I need you guys here today. No problem. We'll be there. We'll be there in 5. So,
Well, hopefully it works like that.
So I know that everybody's very much involved in the business, and I am still pretty much astounded by the fact that this started, you grew up there and it became like where the family is living right now. This is the business and this is beautiful. So, what's your favorite part about running like your business? What is like the biggest challenge?
Well, of course, the favorite part is the wedding days. I mean, we are usually the people who open the door to let the bridal party out. And then we close that door and then we open that door again for the bride. And of course, that's our favorite part. We feel so privileged to be a part of that moment because it's it's a once in a lifetime thing. You're waiting for that door to open and see your groom and step out there in front of all those people. And so that is easily the best part. The most challenging part, what would you say?
Probably when there's a different guest count than what was anticipated.
You mean like last minute changes?
Last minute changes, a lot of times that means removing some tables and chairs, and sometimes that means adding some. But we have and it's kind of like, they walk up to you and say, can we get 2 more tables and, 12 more chairs? And that's, I've got everything within 200 feet of where it is. And so it's very easy for me to grab what we need and get everything.
And that sounds really challenging, especially like with Florida and the weather. And I guess sometimes, the weather could be like surprising us. And then you have to go to like plan B and start moving around things. So yeah, I could see that being very challenging. This is the part. But it sounds like you have a lot of flexibility. So that's great. And, it's already a very stressful day, for the bride and groom. So when they have like an amazing team that is like supporting them and like trying to actually accommodate any requests they might have, this is really helpful. So I'm sure everybody's really appreciated. It actually takes me like to another question I really wanted to ask you guys. Do you have any fun memory from a wedding? I know you host a lot of them. Any really fun memory that comes to your mind?
I don't know if any one particular thing stands out. Probably, excuse me, probably the biggest thing that in the 8 years that we've done this is that we've just met a lot of really neat, nice people. Very seldom ever have any issues or problems with guests or anything. And so it's a pleasant experience. I, get to meet new people and everybody's excited and I just enjoy that.
One thing that I thought of when you said that, though, just like 2 or 3 weddings back, we had a groom that he just had this idea. He called and got permission to come early to the venue. He came in and set up in the bridal suite all these pretty little things, flowers, champagne on ice, a little t-shirt for the bride. And I'd never seen that before. I just thought that was the sweetest thing. But I mean, we get to see so many things like that, but that just was something that jumped out at me.
Oh,
Something I remember. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's definitely very, very nice. I like that. And it's like actually taking me to another question. Like, what are like current trends like you are seeing right now in the wedding industry, like in general? People are like doing a lot of that recently. Anything like
Well, I work with other wedding venue owners in a group, and we kind of work together with our businesses. But we started about 6 months ago or 8 months ago gathering candid content. And at that time, they said, this is something that's coming down the road. This is coming down the road. So we have somebody, it's usually me, at the venue during events gathering candid content. And by that, I mean simply using your iPhone to catch little behind the scenes moments that are just real sweet. The professionals are definitely in the lead and they've got their cameras in there and I stay out of their way. But I started doing that and we share it with our bride afterwards and usually before she's getting to see the professional shots. So that's fun. And then we use them for our social media and because there's nothing like seeing weddings for, people that are looking at a wedding venue. So we started doing that. Well, now, just a couple weeks ago, I have not heard my brides talking about hiring people for candid content, but one of the real top photographers in our area posted that she had hired a candid content person now. So when you get her candid content, so I see that as something that's going to be pretty standard going forward. Either using somebody like we offer it free for our brides, our couples, or either hiring it through a photographer. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that, but that sounds really interesting. That sounds really interesting.
And then doing all those cute little effects and stuff, which,
Wow, that's
I'm
like
still
that's a
learning
really
all
good
that.
idea, actually.
With your
Okay.
wedding.
And I actually have a picture that I took of her standing and hiding in the azalea bushes
Yeah.
getting candy colored.
That's what it comes down to. You got to get the shot.
Oh wow, that sounds actually like a lot of fun, to be honest. But you know what? Now I'm gonna go actually to the other way. All right. So
Okay.
what is like a thing that you believe that couples should never do? Like any cringe, like worthy things you hate seeing at a venue or like an event or anything like it?
I think one of the things that always kind of gets to us is or at least to me, because I'm almost always out there, is seeing, and I don't know if it's because of just situations or whatever, but I go out there. We had this one bride and she came in, got her hair and makeup done and everything. And
Yeah.
then she's out there decorating the reception area. And I'm like, let us help. Tell us what you want. We'll get it laid out for you. You go in there and don't get all hot and sweaty and just relax and enjoy the wedding day. So that was kind of, and like I said, I don't know if because she just didn't have help,
Right.
but that just kind of got to me a little bit.
Yeah, that's a little, think about it. This is your special day. You are all dolled up. You look
So
so
we really try to drive that home to brides when we're planning to, some brides just want to be in charge, but have somebody you trust that knows how you want it done. And then you get us started and we will have it set up for you. So, but what I was thinking was, I thought he was going to say was people arriving late. And then and then if you arrive late, we understand life happens, but then just kind of stay in the back and watch from where you're at, but sometimes they just kind of barge right in and sit right down. That's the
So
only time I can see myself cringing.
a lot of
I thought that's
times,
what you were going to say.
no, well, that would be a guest thing, not a bride
Well, that's
thing.
true. It is.
But one of the things that I try to do, if we're running on time, the bride says we're going to start on time, we're doing everything on time, I'll go stand at the gate. And if guests arrive late, that's great. Stand right here at the gate with me and watch it. But, please have the courtesy not
Yeah.
to walk up and enter, during a ceremony. That just drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm like, if just like you said, if you're late, totally understandable. Life happens, but please do not ruin their special moment. Don't take out
Yeah.
the attention. They're already so hyped and ready. So yeah, I would say stand back. Definitely don't barge in there. Like, sorry, I'm late, and just so I feel like yeah, that's a really probably good tip to anyone who is late to a wedding. Yeah. So let's go with that.
One of the things that we actually do between where you turn into the parking area and the ceremony site, about 15 minutes before, we actually pull a rope and a sign across the road that says ceremony in progress. Do not enter. Now, they still have access to the parking lot. But the main reason why we do that, it's always been our greatest fear that an Amazon truck's going to come flying up during the middle of the wedding. So, and we get a lot of those trucks. So it just protects the ceremony also and keeps anybody from entering. So
That's well, you see, that's very smart. I feel like I never even thought about this situation. Like until you brought this up, I never even thought about this situation. So this is actually it makes a lot of sense. Um, do you guys can give like any advice you could offer to someone just starting, their planning journey, anything they should be doing probably?
well, one of the things that I always tell people on the tours is probably the most important thing is get your venue picked and secured. After that, everything becomes a whole lot easier because you have a specific date and a specific place to talk to vendors about. And the other thing that I always ask the brides is, do you have your wedding dress yet? And we'll have people who come and want to get married in 4 to 6 months, and sometimes it takes a year to get a dress. And so that's something they don't think about either. And it just kind of gets them thinking on the track, well, there are several things that I need to do
Yeah.
quite a bit ahead of time, and it just helps them plan, I guess. So.
And that's kind of my advice too, is just they're looking at this huge undertaking of planning a wedding. And I just say, I mean, almost 100% of brides are like, oh my gosh, I've never done anything like this before. So, and I tell them that's what everybody feels like. So just take it one step at a time. And the first logical step is picking the venue because then you've got your date. So that was my advice, is just to take it one step at a time. And then as you go, you can lean on professionals more or less, depending on, the next step. What's the next step? So that's what, and we give our brides a little resource that has some checklist of 12 months out, 9 months out, those kind of things to do when they come for a tour.
That's a great advice from both of you, actually, and I totally agree. And yeah, whatever you can offer to make their life easier, because there's so much involved in a wedding. You get it? Even like as a performer, I just see what they are going through.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you can make it and plan it ahead of time and get everything done, it's just gonna make your special day so much more enjoyable, I would say, probably, instead of like worrying about other things going on, which you probably will anyway. It happens every wedding.
You're going to be stressed on your wedding day, but you just keep the focus on the fact you're going to be married at the end of the day. So
That's right. That's right. That's what you got to keep in
things
mind.
are going to happen here and there that aren't exactly planned, but
It takes me now because I was looking at the website and the photos, and I love the barn. It's beautiful. It's green. It's spacious. It accommodates up to 200 people. I know that. And you got so much to offer. But can you tell me what makes your venue and services in general unique? What sets you apart from the other venues?
well, with my Wedding Venue Owners Group, I've had a chance to tour a lot of venues, and there are a lot of beautiful venues out there. I give you that. But I think the way we have we have the manor house that's kind of in the center of the property. And so that's kind of the background for the backstop, I guess, for pictures and such. But the parking is right adjacent to the ceremony site. And then right around the corner is the barn. Very walkable area for your guests. They've got the pastures with the horses that always come to say hello. So it's a very, a little, I mean, you would think we planned it this way, we really did it. Our house was here first, but just very walkable for the guests. It's a very private area. You go to the end of this road and you turn the corner and you're, oh my gosh. And then you're completely private. There's no roads, there's no houses that you're going to see, 360. You're not going to see anything. It's all private. So I love that part of the venue, and we think we really like doing this. So that's another thing that's good.
That is so beautiful. You guys are passionate about it. And yeah, I guess nothing can actually beat the fact that you just have so much green out there. And it just feels so peaceful. So I love that. So that's definitely a huge advantage for any couples that are looking just for some peace. Get out of the city, enjoy beautiful green part, Florida, especially Jacksonville, which is so beautiful. It's so green. So yeah, this is definitely an amazing advantage. Can you guys describe me like a typical wedding day at the venue?
Well, you have that big 12 hours. So I guess we see a lot of different things, but typically the ladies will arrive around that time because they're going to be starting hair and makeup. They'll have several people that I tell them 2 or 3 people who know how you want things set up, and me, and we're good. We'll have it done in no time. The setup crew arrive.
Yeah, so just one thing. When they arrive, the ceremony site and the barn site, all the tables, the chairs, the seating, everything is set up as per how the bride wanted it laid out. So basically all they do is they come in and their job is to decorate and undecorate. Everything else is already set up and ready for them. So.
And from there, the guys will arrive later in the day whenever they're needed to get ready for the photographer. And then from there we go, I guess we really follow the timeline for the wedding, whatever they've got set up. Sometimes they'll do a first look and then they'll do our private vows. I mean, there's just so many different things, but we'll just kind of follow their timeline. We love it when the ceremony is later in the afternoon and then transitioning into the nighttime at the barn because it's so pretty at night because the lights are so pretty. But we're just working on their timeline.
Probably one of my favorite things because I'm also inefficient if they need one. But one of my favorite things is in my folder, I always carry tissue because probably 50 or 60% of the time we got this big macho groom standing out there waiting for his bride to come out. The minute she comes out the door, he just breaks down. So I said, always keep tissue, and just seeing those moments is just priceless, really. Being able to stand right there and see that.
But then as continuing through the day, I guess they do the reception. And again, those are as different as each bride. Some brides want to do more traditional things. Some brides have brand new things we've never seen before. And then we end up tonight by 11 p.m. And everybody's kind of packed up and gone.
Sounds to me like a great wedding day. So I love that. Can you actually give me, I'm just an idea, like how is your current availability? Like how far in advance are you booking?
So I handle that more than you, but we're booking about a year and a half out. So we're just starting to book 2020, fall of 2026. But we have availability on the website. If a bride is like we have a Saturday in September that just opened up, and we have a Saturday in November open this fall. So, I mean, literally, I just got off a phone call with somebody looking for a really quick wedding. Everything from that to a year and a half.
Yeah, really quick. Meaning.
Like next weekend, could we have something at the...
Wow, I cannot believe that.
Yeah, Jeff got off the phone with him. But anyway.
It's like almost like a rapid wedding. This is amazing. But yeah, it can happen. I know that.
Yeah, she said we were going to have this little wedding and a lot of people are coming, so we need a place now. So
Yeah,
anyway.
because usually I know that it's somewhere around like a year to a year and a half.
Yeah, I think a year is probably, and I love it when they can do that. Sometimes if you want a specific date, you got to be a little bit ahead of that. But if you're just wanting the spring, it's awesome if you can come during the springtime the year before and see how green everything is and what's blooming and what it's like in the springtime because it's different than in the fall. And we also have beautiful winter weddings because we're in Florida, but still the trees are a lot less green, it's a lot more barren looking, and it's winter, but they're beautiful pictures. So
A couple
yeah.
of years ago, we actually had a wedding the Saturday before Christmas. And brides are always very creative. So anyway, rather than have a gift table, she put up a Christmas tree and
Wow,
everybody put their presents under
Under
the
the
tree.
tree.
So that was really cool.
this is so cool. I have never seen anything like it.
No, we hadn't either till then, but it was really a neat idea.
They should be doing more of that, like especially during Christmas time. This is really cool. Okay, now I got an idea, like for anyone who wants to get married, please do that. This is really cool. Really, really nice. Do you guys have any flexibility, like with guest count in case it changes?
Well, I think I talked
Yeah.
about that a little bit. Yeah. Probably I would say over the years that we've done this, I would say 85 to 90% of the people who RSVP show up. We have had one wedding that a lot more people than RSVP showed up. And so that was just immediately, they had a planner and she came to me. She said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, tell me how many tables you need, how many chairs you need. And during the ceremony, we got everything set up in the reception area. So everybody had a seat.
And we do have, during the event, there are 2 staff members on site for the whole thing. And that's why. I mean, we had people to handle that, to get that set up, throw a linen on, and get ready. So the guests didn't even notice that we had to do that. So
That's amazing. That seems like a teamwork, just to make sure the event is going like to be fabulous. So this is great. And I'm sure that every couple or anybody's listening to the podcast right now, they always like this reassurance that managers, the owners, they're there and they're flexible and they're like, let's make it work. It's okay. And it's totally fair. I mean, sometimes people, they can have their own visions about it and that's flexibility. But it's always so great to hear when people have this really positive approach, just trying to get everything done and make sure
yeah.
be a stressless day as much as possible.
And I tell you one thing, Manny, way we are an a la carte menu, which means we don't have in-house vendors and we don't require couples to pick from a certain list. You can pick any musician, any photographer, any caterer that you want. So we work with different people, but in our planning process, the way we help our brides kind of it helps us stay up with what she's planning is we have an online planner. And as she's going through, once they book, they get that planner. And as she's going through making these decisions, it's just a Google Doc that's live. And so we can see as she's adding information. And right now we have a 30-day out meeting. And that's when typically we'll get that guest count and we'll know how the barn's set up and how many chairs to put out. And so, but we're going to add to that this come in the fall. We're going to try to do some 90-day and 30-day touch points to just make sure by 30 days. But I can tell you and your audience, that is the most frustrating thing for brides is trying to get those RSVP numbers and people not responding and or changing their mind at the last minute. And I hate it for the brides, but that is something that, and we know we're a little bit flexible on that.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. Another feature, which is really cool that I came across your website, is that you have a calculator over there. So this is for like more than like for the couples trying to understand their budget, get an idea of the pricing. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
I think that's one of the best features too, the price calculator.
Yeah.
And I tell people that they can go on there because Fridays and Sundays are cheaper. And then the number of guests affects how much it's going to be. And they can play around with those numbers. And then everything we have it included as far as the venue. We don't have a lot of add-ons like if you want to use this or if you want to use that. But we do have extra people like if you want a day of coordinator, if you want the officiant, if you want a bartender. So they can put all that in there and see how much it's going to come to. So yeah, I think our couples like that. Because that's one of the hardest part about a wedding is figuring out how to pay for it.
The two
How
things I get
expensive everything is.
the two things I get the most comments on probably from when I do tours is the calculator and Calendly, which lets them look at what dates are available.
Yeah.
And then, I explain to them, if you decide to book with us, just send us an email. And Diane immediately takes that day off as available. And then we go.
This is great. This is so good. And like, this kind of communication within like the
Mhm.
calculator and anything else that is going on, it gets like help the couples like get like kind of like a clear picture about the pricing in a way and kind of like planning their budget. Just like you said, Diane, it's already so expensive having a wedding.
Mhm.
So when people have like a little general idea what they're facing towards, kind of helps them out. Also, like in terms of like planning the budget or
Mhm.
the other things involved in the wedding, if it's like caterer or like entertainment or anything else that is going on. Which actually takes me out to the next question, which is just like a little bit about the pricing and the payment of the venue. Can you give me like an average like event size and the cost of your venue? It doesn't have to be on the dot, obviously, but just to get like a
So we always, when I first talk to a couple, I tell them our prices range from $2,900 to $6,100, but the average couple spent about $4,800 for the venue, and our average price is 100, so maybe 125, but that's our normal, that's our average.
Do you guys have any deposit amounts you usually require?
It takes $1,000 to hold your date. Our cancellation policy is no refunds. Once you've booked that date and taken it off our calendar, we can't sell it again. I know that some people have a hard time understanding that, but it's like a plane ticket. Once you bought that plane ticket to Washington and we don't have that seat to sell, we can't sell it again. So that's why when I send that first email to couples, I tell them that. And I say, when you sign this contract, be sure you're to sign this contract. Now, that being said, we got through COVID without canceling any weddings. We rebooked them all. And we have recently had a deployment extended. And all they did, I said, just send me a copy of the deployment paperwork. We rescheduled it to a later date. So we try to honor our guests, our couples in that way when it's stuff they can't. Then the last part of that is we always encourage our couples to get cancellation insurance. Cancellation insurance doesn't cover you if you break up or if, you just decide not to get married, but it will cover you if there's another terrible thing like COVID, if the venue were to get wiped out by a hurricane or a flood like happened in Texas, and there's several venues out there that were just wiped out. So you're covered in that way. So we do encourage, it's a big investment, a wedding. So we do always link them with information about cancellation insurance.
Yeah, and that's actually a very wise tip to anybody who's listening. I would say you just never know what's going to happen, and you're already going to be so much invested in the wedding, so you might as well, just add another piece.
And I think locally, now I cannot remember the venue name, but locally there was a venue that has closed for remodeling and some couples they were sold. Have you heard this, Manny?
No, I have not actually.
I'm sorry that I can't remember the name of it, but it's local to Jacksonville, and they're been sold and they're going to be remodeling. And so it's really, some couples are now out there trying to find, if they had cancellation insurance, they would get their money back automatically and they could go get their other venue. So
Right.
it's just an important thing to think about, the investment you're making.
Definitely. And I know we kind of like discussed like this situation a little earlier, but do you guys have an in-house catering service, or do the couples usually need to provide their own caterer?
Yeah, when she talked about being a la carte,
Right.
yeah, they're free to use whoever they'd like. Now, we do have a list of vendors, photographers, florists, caterers, DJs that have been here on our website and done a really great job. So that's kind of a place where they can start.
Yeah, if they want like recommendations, they're on the website.
Right. But like I said, we don't require them to use anyone. So.
Perfect. So they can, and I would assume you can probably recommend them. You probably have like a preferred vendor list. Usually,
we do. On the website, we have that. Yeah.
Perfect. So that's usually very, very helpful. Now, is there a designated bridal suite or changing area at the venue?
There is. It's beautiful. It's it's right inside the manor house, right inside. And it's just a nice big room for them to be together. Lots of places to hang your gowns and mirrors and stuff. But they have access to the bottom floor. So they have the kitchen, the ice machine, 2 restrooms. So the bridal suite is just beautiful. The best part about it is that it looks out onto the ceremony site. So the bride can see as the decorations go up and as the guests start to arrive and special people are there, she can see all that. And she can even see the wedding party walk down the aisle before, it's her turn. So,
About
and then,
3 months ago, I guess we had a groom and a dog of honor
yes,
go
we
down
did.
the aisle. We are pet friendly. And she was able to stand at the window and watch them go out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unique. And there's a whole part of the wedding with people going out and all that they don't miss out on. They can watch it.
And we also have a nice area for the guys. It's separate from the house, which is kind of nice. Sometimes they don't want to see each other before the ceremony. And then they've got just a nice air conditioned room out there and a refrigerator. There you go. That's what's important to the guys.
They just want to unwind like before they go out.
Just hang out and have fun. Yeah.
This is perfect. This is really, really great. Are there any sound ordinances like at the venue, anytime music shouldn't be played past?
And probably the best way to answer that is that music needs to stop by 10 p.m. We've had everything from DJs to live bands to you name it, they've been here. And the way we do is we try to set up the layout for the music to be turned toward the 22,000 acres of Jennings State Forest, where there's no houses or neighbors.
Yeah.
But really, we very seldom do we ever get anything, from anybody around. And our closest neighbors are a long ways away. So usually if we get any call at all, it might be my son on the other end saying, I think you might need to turn that down. But what we found is, and what I thought was kind of unique, it's whoever has the best bass on their speakers is what people hear. And a lot of times you don't need to turn volume down. You can just turn the bass down a little bit and everybody's happy. So, but 10 p.m. is the cutoff time for music.
I like that. And 10 p.m. is usually it. That's usually, my impression as a performer, that's usually just anywhere 10 to 11 is usually what we get.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved your comment about the basses. It seems like you have a little understanding of the whole audio situation. So I love that. And it's really helpful. Sometimes people, they think like it doesn't have to be necessarily the general volume. The bass a little down, it's not going to be as booming out there to the other people. So it would definitely could make a change. I like that.
But the other little piece of that is we ask everybody, vendors and everybody, to be gone by 11 p.m. And probably the person who needs the most setup and takedown time is the DJ. Yeah. They have more equipment, more loads, more trips to the van or trailer or car or whatever. So it works out better for them too.
It actually just takes me to the next question. How early can the vendor access the venue for setup on the wedding day?
Well, probably the best way to answer that is, like I said, we give them 12 hours. So if they do 11 to 11 or 9 to 9, 10 to 10, whenever the gates open, then everybody can come in.
Perfect. Yeah. And that's 12 hours. Yeah. That's usually the window. And is there like an event coordinator? Obviously you guys are over there, but anybody else on site during the wedding day, or this usually just 2 of you just running everything around in there?
Well, we do have day of coordinators. We have several of those that work with us. And then the 2 of us, and then both of our sons have also just been the on-site extra person. It just depends on the day of the week.
And one of my sons is also an officiant. So
oh, wow.
Somebody needs one and I'm out of town or something, then we do have somebody else. So.
Well, if there's a last-minute cancellation for an officiant, your son is right there. So that's really helpful.
That's why he got ordained, because we had an officiant not like 10 minutes before the wedding. They still weren't here.
For the wedding, they said they're not coming.
And no, they didn't say that. They were just late.
Oh, okay.
And that scared us, though, because we thought, what would we do if the officiant didn't show up? It would be like, what can you do? So we just found out he would be there just in case to step in. He's never had to do that, but It just made us think.
Wow, that's a little peace of mind right there. is there any parking available at the venue, and is it complimentary?
Yes, we have plenty of parking. It's like Diane said, it's pretty much adjacent to the ceremony
Yeah.
site. We have lighting out there. We have street lights on the poles and that type of stuff. And no, we don't. That's just another part of the package. There's no charge for that.
Perfect. Do you have a backup plan for outdoor weddings in case of like bad weather? Obviously, it's Florida.
Yes, and this is one of the things that I always go over with our brides when they come for a tour. Is, people always ask, what do you do if it rains? And plan A in Florida is that you wait 5 minutes. And that really has happened several times over the years where everybody's got radar on their phone. We can see if it's just a band coming through. We have waterproof covers on our pews, so it takes us like 5 minutes to get those off and everything. So we can wait 5 or 10 minutes and then go ahead as planned, or plan B if it's not going to rain. Then we just move the ceremony to under the barn. And some brides get married under the barn. It just depends on, your vision for your wedding.
Well, as long as there's a plan B, that just like you said, it's Florida. You never know. You just never know.
Exactly. Yes.
It could be like pouring, and after 5 minutes, the sun is out, not a single cloud. So yeah, this is just Florida. That's the way it is. But that's great. It looks like you have a very good plan B for that. Which will also take me to another question. One of my final questions is, who is going to be the main point of contact prior to the event? Is this going to be you guys?
Yes, that would probably be me prior to the event. I really handle the behind the scenes, the planning and the scheduling and stuff. And then on the day of the event, Glenn is most often one of the two people here. And because he is in charge of all the setup, and at the final meeting, he's always there because he wants to make sure it makes sense. And that if the bride wants something that he can, sometimes he'll say, okay, yeah, let's do that. And other times he'll say, well, let's think this through. And, there might be a better way. So I guess that's how we kind of divide.
After setting the barn, the reception area up 300 plus times, I've kind of figured out what works and what doesn't work.
I would imagine. And, it just amazes me, I'm always looking like at venues like around like, Florida and everything else. And whenever I come like into a barn, and we played like in those settings before, me personally, I just love that peace of mind. To anybody who's listening to the podcast right now, if you guys are looking for a peaceful place and beautiful, honestly, check out once again, All for One Farms. We're going to make sure to attach all the links and the good stuff to Facebook and Instagram and everything else that is going on. Plus, if you are listening to this podcast and this is where you heard of All for One Farms, you should know that you will get a free champagne toast and use off the champagne wall when they book. Is that right?
Yes, and it's beautiful.
It sounds so much fun. Honestly, it's been a while since I've been to Jacksonville myself, but next time I'm over there, I would definitely love this with my own eyes. I would love that. I just love the website. And yeah, it's great. So anybody out there is looking to get married soon in Jacksonville region, Central Florida, anywhere in Florida, honestly, if you're looking for just a little peace of mind and an amazing A-team over here, Diane and Glenn, check it out. All for One Farms in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. Diane and Glenn, you are so much fun. I had such a blast talking to you. And again, on my next trip to Jacksonville, I should definitely stop by, and I would love to see the place as well.
Well, thank you for having us. It has been fun.
Of course. You guys are so great. So thank you so much. Once again, guys, this was today's episode for Eventful Endeavors. Until next time, happy Friday.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.